I can't. Okay, so here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the last one of the Meet the Jugglers interview series, and it's my great pleasure to be the guest host this evening, standing in for Anthony because you can't make two Anthonys. You know, there only is one Anthony, and as a result of that, he cannot interview himself, as he's been very beautifully doing over the course of this program. So I'm honoured to be invited here to be the one interviewing Anthony for the last in the series. So I'd like to, before I invite Anthony on, I'd just like to say a little bit about where I met Anthony, which was at the Counterplay event of 2019. And Counterplay is a wonderful festival organised by Matthias. Lots of people from all over the world, but particularly kind of Europe, Northern Europe, get together and talk about play and do play and have lots of fun together. And so I met Anthony there, and I really saw the playful spirit that lives through everything he does, living in that occasion. And I connected with him, and we've been in touch ever since. Also, it was a pleasure to be one of the people presenting at Giocostamente Festival. Hope I said that right, Anthony. Which was a wonderful event that Anthony organised, again, bringing together lots of these people. And so I feel like Anthony is one of those people who spends a lot of his time and energy in sort of supporting the community and the network of people who are connected. And that was another example of that. I like Anthony so much that I'm trying to make my beard like his, which you can see from my sort of very, very poor attempt at being like Anthony. But, you got to start somewhere. So with that in mind, it gives me great pleasure to invite onto the virtual stage, Anthony. Please make yourself visible.
Hello!
There we go. Ta-da!
Hello, Kevin. Thank you.
So cool. It's really like a sort of a velvet curtain moment there. And there you are in a slightly velvety jacket. It looks a little bit velvety.
Yeah. Oh no, it hasn't any pockets on it. It's just this.
Very nice.
The cuffs.
Oh, it's quite kingly, Anthony, and I like the way that you're a king with pigtails, which is, you got the beard, you got the classic king touches, but then you flipped it a bit with the pigtails, which is not in the classic king repertoire. That is very, very pleasing,
Yeah, it's more in the prince.
Yeah.
I learned this term the other day. It's queen, like a king and queen together. Queen.
That's nice.
Yeah, queen. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I like that. So should we call you Queen Anthony for this evening? Are you okay with that? Because I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Queen.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for inviting me to sharing this little bit of time together, Anthony. It's really nice to see you, and it's going to be. I feel sure that we're going to have a nice time together. So maybe can I ask you a question now? Can I, is that what?
Yeah, please.
So one thing I notice about you is that for you, juggling is not just a thing that you do. It's a kind of philosophy and a way of almost like a spiritual practice, I would say. That's from what I've seen when you do your juggling stuff. And I can teach people to juggle. I'm a very basic juggler, but I don't have the relationship with it that you do, in the sense that it's almost like the force for you. It feels to me like life flows through you, like this living force that flows through you. So I'm hoping that some of that stuff will come out as we talk. But I'm not going to start with that question, because that's quite a hard one to start with. I'm going to start with this question, which is: can anyone learn to juggle?
Ah, right. Yeah, that's a cool question. Well, it's like I reckon. Well, yes, I would say yes. And but before we can say yes, it's sometimes a lot of the work is just encouraging. Is the encouraging the part of learning to juggle, and breaking up into small parts. So it's like a success will build a success. So when you do something you thought was impossible, then you start thinking, oh, perhaps I can do this. So there's a lot of resistance learning to juggle. It's really like it's one of those things that you can't hurt yourself doing, and you're not really going to embarrass yourselves, but there's a hell of a lot of resistance in doing it, because you think it's going to confirm the fact that you can't you're not able somehow, that you're not coordinated, or you're, and I don't think I've ever really met anybody that thought they could juggle before they could. You know, there are some people that they're like a bit like, whoa, let me have a go. You know, of course there are people like that as well. But most people, they, for myself, you know, I felt shy, and I didn't have the self-esteem to even think about learning to juggle. I don't know, I don't know how the thing was. But what I do know is when I learned, it was just a huge shock. You know, it was a pleasant shock. It was like, wow, I just learned to juggle. And that doesn't fit in with the idea that I've got about myself, you know. So this thing, it didn't just like crack a hole in it. It just like completely shattered this whole, this whole idea that I'd believed 100% in these limitations, you know. So it was a really powerful shift, learning to juggle. And so this, I try and teach other people to juggle. There are some people, you know, they get stuck. They get a little bit stuck, you know. And when that happens, I think we really need to work on one thing, is, you know, the breathing, because it's one of those activities where when we don't breathe, it gets really stuck, you know. It's like, because we become a bit more stiff and everything, right? So yeah, I reckon everybody can learn to juggle. And when we say juggle, we start off with scarves, right? And they're nice and slow. So and you know, it's like this whole terminology with juggling. You know, there's also Craig Quat, and he has these juggle boards, and it's basically about passing balls between people. And he does a lot of work with disabled people as well. It's very interesting. You know, it's a very primitive communication, throwing the ball to someone and catching it again. You know, it's like it really is an exchange. You know, you're not just throwing the ball and catching it again. It's it's a really a way of drawing somebody into your game. It's a game. It's like, you know, if we could say what are the basic games, I reckon throwing the ball backwards and forwards to people could be considered pretty much one of the basic ones. And if nobody's caught counting a score, you could do it forever, you know, throwing your balls, and I'm sure you do this with your nieces as well, your niece and nephew. My invitation is for everybody to give it a go, you know, and sometimes it's nice to do it with other people at the same time. You sort of support each other in the process of learning to juggle. And for me, I learned this thing about it showed up that my limitations weren't true, but for other people it shows up other things, you know. It shows up that perhaps they're too hard on themselves, or perhaps it shows up, you know, it really shows up a lot about your personality, but it sort of does a good spring clean at the same time. So yeah, but the important thing is to give it a go, you know. People always say this to us, no, especially in England. They say it's the taking part which is important. So yeah, everybody should give it a go. Definitely give it a go and commit totally. So
yeah. Fantastic. There's everything you just said there. It really for me. So I'm trained as an educator, right? So I've been a physical education teacher in the Steiner Waldorf system for 10 years, and now I train teachers. And everything you said there captures so much what I would describe as like really great pedagogy. You know, just so, I couldn't keep track of all the wonderful things. This kind of the way that learning just emerges, like. You suddenly realize you're doing it, and you're like, how did that happen? I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing, you know? It's so cool. And like learning about yourself, coming up against your own boundaries as we're doing the activity, and what they'd call the zone of proximal development in educational philosophy, of like, make something just so it's just the right amount of hardness. And some of the things you described about, like, you just need to get it. You need to coax the environment so it's like just not too easy that it's boring, but not so hard that it's unachievable. And in that, you know, you've got this wonderful space where miracles can happen, you know, and it's like, yeah, one moment you can't, and then you can. And it's also interesting to me that you say a lot of people come to it being like, I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to do this, you know, which I think is quite rare. You know, most people, often people are like, yeah, I can. It's getting more unique as a thing, because as we go more and more digital, more and more of the things we learn are not in the three-dimensional space. And as that happens, something like juggling, it becomes more and more unique, I think, as like it's like you say to a kid, can you juggle? Or you show them juggling, they're like, bam, that is a thing. That is a thing in a way that loads of other things aren't really things anymore, you know? Doing stuff on a flat screen doesn't count in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and now I want to ask you, I'm sort of thinking now about, because I know you do yoga as well, and how does yoga fit into all the things? You've already mentioned the breath work. How does yoga kind of connect with juggling?
Right, that's a great question, yeah, apparently they don't seem to fit together at all. No? And actually, I wrote quite a long article. I spent a long time writing an article for Elephant Journal about yoga as the juggling as yoga. So it's I think it's like when you take it a step back, you know, if you see it as a form, then they're way different. But if you take it as a practice, as in that you have an action and then there is like an echo that you can tangibly feel in your body and you can work with, then they become very similar. You know, juggling works, it really gets the whole body buzzing, you know, and it produces a lot of neurological impulses. And after we have a juggling session, if we just take time just to feel what's happened, it fixes it more, you know, and our awareness gets more rooted into the body, and this is similar to yoga. And then of course you have the concentration aspect, which with juggling, it happens quite spontaneously that we're concentrated. You know, it's like a pleasurable concentration. It's lots of people that start out juggling, and also people that are really passionate about it for years as well. We get into this state where you could be doing it for hours. You know, you're not really you're self-satisfied in this thing. You know, you're happily doing it, and so well, in yoga, there's one principle, you know, in the Patanjali Sutra, and he talks about all sorts of things where we could use as a basis for meditation, and like in the end, he says, or do something that your mind is naturally attracted to, you know. So this is like one of the first levels of getting rid of all the radio stuff in our head, you know, all this buzzing stuff, and so yeah, for it to be yoga, we need to come into a bit of stillness. But yeah,
that's really interesting. So lots of the things. So I heard the concentration element there, the flow element, and also like the bit that really jumped out for me was the learning that happens after the thing. You know, the sort of unconscious learning. It's like the bit of the iceberg that you can't see of consciousness, and like how I think you mentioned it in both. Like it kind of it's almost in the savasana, or in the, you know, it's in when you're not juggling, you come back. It's like I can do it. You know, I've had that experience before where you're banging your head against the wall, and then you come back the next day, and somehow you've learned how to do it when you weren't trying to do it. And I think there's a lot of wisdom there. Yeah, and I think that like there's a lot of stuff. You know, if we were to look at the way often the world gets viewed in this sort of learning as a predictable process, it goes like that, then that, then that. Like in a school, it's like write down the learning objectives so you know what you're going to learn. It's like that's not how learning really works. Like you do some stuff, and then some stuff happens in between which you're not in control of. And I think it's in like the not doing. It's like the sound when the gong is dissipating in that sound there, that kind of pregnant nothing where stuff's happening, but you're not doing anything physically. And I think that to rejoice in that is really good for us when often we feel like we've got so much to do. You know, I've got to do that and do this. Actually, going for a walk, you might just save yourself a load of piffle that you didn't need to do.
No, absolutely. No, we need this downside. And one other thing I noticed in myself, I would say in my first 8 years of juggling, so my first 5 years of yoga, they really like helped each other enormously. You know, they worked together. So and juggling works a lot on this center as well. You know, really on the mind, on the focus, and Hey, it's my cat. I mean, she found something to like kick around the floor. I just let her do. Bless her. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's really nice to hear all these ideas, which I feel very passionate about, but said in the way you're saying it. I've never heard it that way before, and I'm finding that really inspiring. Okay. I want to move on to your beautiful book, which I got a copy of pretty early on. I think you might have even given me one. I can't remember. It's a sort of generous thing.
I think so. I think I did one at Counterplay. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. It's a beautiful book. And these days, my friend says, content is a mental health problem. We've got so much content coming at us. And the problem is, it's just, we don't need more content. We need more beautiful things. And your book is a beautiful thing. It really is. Like everything about it. It goes immediately on the bookshelf by the precious things. It's the coffee book table. It's the, and so, yeah, how did it come about? How did that, tell me the story about that.
Right. So I wrote the first chapter in the book. I wrote this article about drops, and it was very elaborate, and I think it's a bit after halfway in the book. And after I wrote this chapter, I started to think that it probably was a good idea. I mean, I've been doing yoga, I've been doing juggling, I've been performing. I went to the school in Switzerland for 3 years. I'd really picked up a whole load of baggage, and I needed to integrate it. And I wanted also to help people speed up their learning process. It's like what it took me 15, 20 years to get to. I'm not saying you can get it just reading the book. You have to go through the process. But what I'm saying is you don't have to do 3 years of dance lessons that are really difficult. I did a lot. I mean, I did like modern dance. I found it really difficult. I mean, I learned a lot from it. I learned really a lot from it. But perhaps it was better for me to do something a bit more improvised. A bit more authentic movement or contact improvisation, or where I'm getting the data points and I don't need to be a perfect ballerina, with the thick points and things like this. And because there's a tendency, like juggling, when you start really getting into it, you're like a bit like a black sheep. You're sort of like out. You're not really considered by anybody as it's not really considered, has like hardly any consideration, basically, which is good. It's very freeing for it, right? But it means, like, if you start to do like an acting course or something, you see the actors, they have a little bit more esteem, and perhaps and musicians, and perhaps you think like, wow, they get a bit more esteem than me, and you start to lose the juggling and go into this. But if your idea is to juggle, then we can just take some tools from these things, So the book essentially goes through creativity, through joy, through movement, through stops. Some musicians know the importance of stops. Probably all of them, but some of them don't use them so often, like random stops. It changes the rhythm. It gives the whole verbal thing and the movement thing. Juggling is a moving language, essentially. It's a very, very contort way of saying. It's not very linear. It's quite hard to have something to say with juggling, but you can say a lot with it because it's yourself speaking. So and I wanted to tackle lots of things that I found really complicated, like this here. Like, what do you have to say with juggling? People say to you, what have you got to say with juggling? And at the beginning I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? And now I know it more. It's like just choosing something. It's like choosing a color, or choosing a mood, or choosing a story to it. Just having something that carries what you're doing. So this is what it means to have something to say. And this could cause a lot of and people say to you as well, they say, oh, you're way too technical, and I try and say, it's not like someone's too technical. It's like there are other skills they haven't brought them up to the same level. You know, this is all it is really. So you can feel a little bit like not good enough sometimes, you know, and when you don't feel good enough, you go even more into the technique, and then you get into this loop of where you don't, you know, you're not really in the satisfaction of the thing. So so my suggestion is already, if we go into how it feels, how do we feel? Put on some music, dance, freeze, feel the echo of the neurological echo in your body, and this already helps us to get more out of our doing and into our being, and therefore our presence increases. You know, our stage presence increases because we are then there, and our playfulness increases because we are there. You know, if we're not there, we can't play. We're somewhere else. You know, so yeah.
Well, that's a good little link there, about the link between presence and playfulness. And like I said at the beginning, I've always found you to be very much present and playful. That's certainly two qualities I would definitely recognize in you. And that makes me think about I don't know if I said it right. The
Giocosamente.
Giocosamente, yeah. And so, yeah, that was really wonderful. May I just say, it was so, you know, we were all missing the kind of the chance to connect with all these people. We're not missing, you know, you can reach out to any of these people on Facebook or on any network anytime you want, but you just don't. And so by you saying, all right, everyone, I'm going to put in a ton load of effort here, and I'm going to invest in it, and I'm going to get us all together. Everyone gets off their arse and gets on with it, you know, and then all of a sudden we've got this great gathering of people and, you know, play rippling around the world. So it was a great endeavor, very, very executed with a lot of heart. So where did that idea come from?
Right. So, when first of all, I mean, last year I did it online, right, in June, and the year before that I did it in this village here, and this is how it was. I was in a process where I was trying to work out what my gifts could possibly be for the world. You know, I could see that juggling had its challenges, basically that nobody believes they can do it until they do it. So it's very hard to reel people in and teach them to juggle, you know? Yeah. Like your odd person, you know, if you meet a group, you know, you have a group, there's a group, they want to learn to juggle, you do it with them, no? But if it's like people have to sign up individuals, it's difficult. So but what I was seeing, even jugglers, they aren't so playful, and they should be like the people that are almost at the top of playfulness, essentially, you know. And they weren't, so I started to think that's really weird, you know, what's going on there. And so yeah, I essentially found I individualized. How do you say? I singled out my gift was to transmit playfulness, you know, and I had been reading Bernie de Kovin's book already, you know, and thinking about stuff there, and there's, you know, it's not like I just popped out like this, you know. It's always been a part of my work for a long time now, and also with kids, with yoga kids, but before then as well, you know. And I don't know why, but I didn't see it as a thing, playfulness. You know, I saw it as as a way of as a way. I mean, I love it that playful. We could just be playful. You know, I think this is awesome. You know, it's like and essentially, I don't know about everybody else, but I would like to play. You know, play more as well. You know, it's like when I become really alive and so yeah, when juggling is playful, I love it. When it becomes a bit more of a chore now, after all these years, I'm not so into it anymore. So anyway, so when I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm going to dive into this playfulness thing now, you know. And then I came across the Counterplay Festival, and then, you know, I started to think, and then I went in the village, and then I just saw some spaces in the village, and I thought I could put on a festival here. and I bumped into the ex-mayor, the mayor at the time, and I was like, okay, I'll say this to him. What do you think if I? He was like, yeah, just write something and send it. And I was like, could it be that easy, And so then that was essentially the spark for it. And then obviously I wanted to do it again, and I prepared for it, and it got cancelled, obviously. And my immediate reaction was, I don't want to do it online. I thought, let's do it online. I thought, don't want to do it online. And but then I saw it, really the theme could be raising the quality of our lives through play and through playfulness. And I thought, okay, that's for me, that's enough, that's meaningful enough, this thing here. It's I see it all over the place, even with playful people, they forget, we need to raise our energy all the time. It's like, yes, lift our arms and just move the body, and it just doesn't take much. It's a really tricky one though. We get stuck. I get stuck in a rut every now and again. Totally, I'm like.
Me too. I'm totally the same. Like the little voice that you just represented there. Like, come on, let's just play. It doesn't really matter. Like that voice there is definitely one I need to be reminded of. So every little drop of that, like what you just did just then, that's going to live on with me for the next few days, for the next week, I hope.
Yeah. And something else I recently came across, I can't remember where I heard it from, is the power of having a tantrum every now and again. Like really going like, I'm fed up of being locked in the house, this stupid COVID thing, just like getting it out. And then you're not going to get out on your neighbours. You're not going to like get out on social media calling someone an idiot, or saying things you don't really care about. We have to discharge this stuff somehow.
That's great. I think I'm going to ask you for some tips on that, because I think I've got anger issues in the sense that I don't really I'm not good at expressing anger to other people or to the world or to myself. And I've heard the thing of like smash a cushion and all that stuff. But can you give me any tips on how I could have a good tantrum? Yeah,
just focus on something that you like. It's like something you don't like whatsoever.
Okay.
Just say it, just like, I don't like this thing, and just like a kid, like just really like a kid, like, ah! And then afterwards, just have a really good laugh.
Okay, brilliant. So really like constantly that, I really hate this thing, I hate it. And then
but not even like angry, like playing with it, like this stupid thing, not being a bit light about it, not so like, not so angry.
Okay. That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe as well as an apple a day, we need a tantrum a day to keep the doctor away.
I think a tantrum. I think they're really or I mean, I don't think a tantrum. Or just laughing about it, totally laughing about it, saying like even having fun of it, like just let me think about it. They just cut off my electricity. I don't know, just invent something. They cut off my electricity.
I can't have anything. I can't have anything for dinner.
Yeah, the fridge is empty. I don't know, it's like just taking the drama out of it a little bit, it's I think these are cool, and then we are playing with our lives, you're playing with our emotions a little bit there. So Giocosamenti are not gonna, I don't know, or maybe we're able to do like one day in the village, but it's like a whole other thing than a festival, right? So I'm a little bit I'm waiting for, is it all freaked out a little bit? I'm waiting for no, I think it froze a little bit. I'm waiting for some signs about the festival, whether I should carry on doing it or not.
What's your favorite?
I don't think.
What's your favorite Giocosamenti moment so far? If you had to pick one.
Well, I always like the end of it. because it's so joyful.
Yeah.
You know, but there's lots of them. You know, I mean, I don't know if Malcolm, if he invented all this like play one stuff, the things, the signs, and the hopscotch on the ground, and you can play a lot with chalk, but they're amazing.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, no, I had a total freak out. My computer had a total freak out. I don't know what happened actually.
Yeah, you were just talking about who's Malcolm and on the chalk on the ground. Who's Malcolm?
I can't remember. He's from London. Huh?
From Counterplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I remember the game. I remember the game we played where we drew chalk circles on the floor and we all had to find things in common. That was really cool.
But you know, it's like anyway. You know what I really like is also just setting up like some playful routes. You know, where people, they don't have anybody follow them; they just follow them on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, even things like just like jump up and down, turn around. You know, it's like somebody who's like doesn't ever do anything out of the ordinary, just turning around on themselves. It's just already puts them in a different mood. You know, it's really amazing, this playfulness thing. You just get up, turn around, and like you're already different. You know.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
I think, like in a Zoom meeting, you know, you need people to call out these things. Okay, everybody, stand up and turn around. You know, the juggling community. There's the big festivals. You know, there's always someone that normally always French people, and they go pirouette. You know, and the people that they all stand up, you know, waiting for a show, and waiting for a show. People stand up and they turn around and sit down. You know, silly things like this. You know, and they bring us together. It's like moving more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know as you were talking there, I was reminded of you know, these experiences that someone's almost just left for us, and we can enjoy them in our own way as well. And I know you're interested in immersive experiences. What is it about immersive experiences which kind of connects with like play as well? Like, what is it about immersive experiences that get you excited?
Well, essentially, it's you're just going deeper. You know, it is. I see. You know, when I have retreats here, it takes 2 or 3 days before you really get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now with all the stuff we're online, it'll probably even take longer now to like detach from things. You know, and I think a lot of retreats might well all become like a detox retreats. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm learning more tools now to get people in there quicker.
Yeah.
You know, because I need that. You know, it's like for sure you go through some like disorientation in your new place, with new people, but you have to get over this quicker. You know, you have to get over this quicker. So, and I really think laughter is one of the best ways to get in quick.
Yeah. Have you ever done laughter yoga?
Yeah, I've done a little bit. And you know, on the podcast, I interviewed Katie Rose White, and I really enjoyed what she had to say about laughter. You know, and like creating it through games.
Yeah.
And also Pete Duncan, he works with old people, you know, and it doesn't even need much, you know, to get people laughing their heads off.
Yeah.
You know, it's Laughter is amazing, really amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the immersive experiences with juggling anyway, and this could be for everybody, is you just get more into your creativity. You know, it just becomes natural, and as your body loosens up, tricks they just work better. They get more solid. The thoughts become clearer. We start to open. We go around with these masks on us with this armor, you know. Especially now, you know, Pete, we're so full of armor. You know, it's like, no, I might get this disease, you know, and it's stifling for the poor body.
Yeah. So, laughter as a sort of fast channel to loosening up, opening the heart, taking off the mask and the armor. And what is there? And you've already talked about the festival this year, and you're still sort of just waiting to find your moment to decide what's going to happen. But what else are you kind of looking? I've heard a lot about kind of what you're feeling passionate about, but what else are you looking forward to either going to this year, attending, or what are you looking forward to doing or sharing? Like what, as you look ahead towards the next few months, obviously there's a lot of unknowns, but despite all of that, what's kind of
Yeah. No, essentially one funny thing is like what's being mirrored back to me very recently is that people have been saying, Anthony, you know, I'm having different conversations with people, and they're saying, Anthony, you're a coach. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a coach. But it's like what I've been doing all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't personally. I have some challenges with being described as a playful coach, because I find it has all sorts of misinterpretations, you know. But so I'm trying to find a way of. I need to find a way of translating what I do into a language that can be understood by others. Essentially,
I think you'd be a great playful coach, but I'm also interested in why, for you, the word coach kind of clashes a bit. And I've got some. I kind of know what you mean, but what is it about the word coach for you, which doesn't resonate with what you do? I suppose you could.
It's probably a lot to do with. It's probably a lot to do with the fact that I've like fully immersed myself into yoga for all these years, you know, and it's probably something to do with that. You know, I mean, you obviously don't need to have lived every life experience to be able to coach somebody, right? But I think it's good if some things you've lived yourselves. So yeah, I don't know, you know, it's just something I've put to one side almost, you know.
Is it because that if I was to change the word to like mentor, like playful mentor, or playful I don't know, some other word, is it a specific word that you're not comfortable with?
It might be. I find myself also but this is also a weird word, more like a consultant, you know, somehow, and I like the words like catalyst more, you know, and things like this, you know.
I like that word more as well, much more. Yeah. I think that you're a playful catalyst. That's a cool thing. Yeah. And I think maybe as well, maybe the word coach has some element of hierarchy built into it, perhaps, you know, of like, you know, I know this stuff and you don't, and therefore I'm going to kind of, but I'm not sure, that could just be my misunderstanding of the word or the way it's used in certain contexts. But is that an aspect that doesn't feel good to you, or is that
No, I think it's like it's just seems a little bit overused, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit, eh?
Well, I think playful catalyst, that's cool. Or creative catalyst.
Yeah.
But I think you also want to capture the fact that, you know, you do this playful or creative stuff, and it's gonna, like, you know, unlock some other deeper stuff in the other person that you know, through doing it. and you don't know what that is before it's going to happen, but it probably will happen, you know. And I think that's something you'd be really good at, or you are really good at.
Yeah. No, I like taking people through deep processes, definitely.
Yeah.
And coming out the other side.
Mm.
You know? Yeah. And I learned a lot working with jugglers in these retreats. You know, it's like more than 20 years that I've been holding 5-day, weekday, 10-day retreats where we work from 7 in the morning until like 8 at night. You know, it's pretty intense, but the results, they've been amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen amazing transformations, and it's cool.
It's very cool.
So my future is uncertain, like everybody's. But you know, I've really been enjoying also this studying and going deep into this, embracing uncertainty. And I think there's a lot there. You know, a playful mindset can deal with uncertainty greatly. You know, and there's a shift. There's lots of shifts, right? But going from I hope, like even like a stupid one, like I hope it'll be sunny tomorrow, or I hope I'm going to enjoy the dinner tonight, you know, or like there's always, it's a bit charged, you know. It's like if I change this to I wonder if, you know, it just, you know.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
It doesn't mean I'm less committed, you know. It just means that I'm more curious, you know. It's like I hope it is just so determining, you know.
Yeah.
And but we say it lots to ourselves. So like this, there's the whole other ways we talk to ourselves, which is just awesome, you know. And I really believe in this, what Stuart Brown talks about as well, about our play personalities and what we did when we were small. It's a big indicator of like what we should be doing when we're older, you know. And there's so many people, and I know this feeling is like, what should I do? What should I do? You know, and I don't know, I think we can be a little bit more creative about our life choices than just following set career paths, you know. I think we can totally risk it. And that's my take on it.
Nice.
Or even as a hobby, you know, we don't have to like quit our jobs or whatever, you know, but we have some time where we can be an positive impact in the world, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that shift from I hope to I wonder. It's beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic, Anthony. Well, is there anything else that we haven't said or you haven't said that you feel like you'd like to share, or is there any sort of either that, or is there a closing kind of message that you'd like to share?
Well, with Pearl, I was working on a new book, and I think it's all changed now in my mind, this new book, what it's going to be about, you know. And we're hoping to bring out Pearls of Juggling into Spanish. And in March, I'm going to do this creative training challenge. So next Wednesday, we have the opening ceremony for this course. It's like a donation based for jugglers. It's for jugglers. For people who can do 3 balls, you know. And we're going to go through quite an intense creative month with live video, little short live videos and challenges, and this 2 hours a week. And then that's it. I don't know. Hello, Carly. You come to say hello. Ciao.
Have you got anything? That sounds really cool. And the creative month. Have you got anything for? Someone asked me today. Stuff for teenagers. How do you teach? Like, what's good for? So let's say we got some teenagers who can't really juggle. What should they do?
Right, teenagers. They need things to be really cool.
Yeah.
Things have to be like cool, and cool is having skills also that you can show to other people. You know, cool is like doing like a handstand on your head, you know, and crow pose, and also, you know, it's like the music you choose when you work with teenagers. You know, ask them for a playlist. You know, and I think one ball juggling is cool with teenagers. You know, and with beatbox at the same time. You know, this and but we can't push them too much. Teenagers, you know, they're in a right. They're a little bit like they tend to escape a little bit, you know, and they're not quite there, and you need to get them engaged and I get them moving, get their bodies moving, and I don't know. I tend to not say like it's all doom and gloom with devices, but we need to be more interesting than devices, you know. And I think ultimately humans are more interesting than devices.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Juggling for teenagers, simple things with one ball.
Yeah.
Or a big fork.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin.
That's great. I was going to do a joke about forking off there, but I won't do that. But it probably is time to fork off a little bit. Do you think?
Yeah. So I'm really open for collaborations right now. You know, and like with people that I feel good about, and understanding. We can't. I mean, I tend to do things all on my own, but it's not working. And I mean, things that don't take too much planning, you know, just like getting.
Yeah.
But I think I will create some more courses, some online courses, and then who knows?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. Ciao, Kevin.
Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for your time. It's been lovely to spend some time with you.
Yeah, so let's say we're going to turn off the broadcast now. So thank you, people, for watching live. Thank you for watching the recording. I will, at some point, upload these all onto YouTube. If you comment below, it just makes me happy. That's all. It's like, yeah, there are people out there watching, and they appreciate it. So anyway, well done. Big round of applause for all you that have watched until now. Thank you very much. And we're going to end the broadcast now. So Meet the Jugglers live. If you want it to go on, we will start again next year in Pirouette. We will start. It's written in the chat. So Rajan, hello Rajan, Adrian. So if we want to continue with the Meet the Jugglers live, then let me know. Say yes, let's do it, and we'll start it up again in October, November next year. So catch you later, guys. See you soon. Ciao.